Here's a quote-by-quote guide to the play Sailmaker by Alan Spence. 1. Your mammy's dead, followed a few lines later by, I'll make some breakfast. Here Davie is speaking to his son Alec, the protagonist of the play. The play starts with a flashback to when Alec was 11 and a major change took place in his family circumstances. Alec's mother dies, and his father Davie breaks the sad news of her death to him in a blunt, direct way, before immediately changing the subject to breakfast in an attempt to suppress his grief. However, Alec deals with grief differently. He needs to grieve for his mother, and the deep sobbing he describes in the opening scene of the play makes a stark contrast with his father's controlled reaction to the death. The fact that Alec deals with his grief allows him to move on with the rest of his life, which Davie seems unable to do. 2. I had a yacht, followed closely by My da's a sailmaker. Alec is speaking to his cousin Ian, telling him about the toy yacht that he has found in the glory hole, a cupboard where people keep things they aren't using. The yacht is central to the theme of father-son relationships in the play, and specifically the relationship between Davie and Alec. Davie is a tick man, a debt collector, as Ian is quick to point out, but Alec is proud of his father's previous profession. Davie used to be a sailmaker. Alec loves playing imaginary games with the yacht, and he lives in hope that one day his dad will make a mast and sails for it. However, even after Davie's brother Billy has painted the yacht for Alec, Davie keeps putting off the task, and he never does get round to it, which exemplifies his inability to move on and motivate himself out of his grief and depression. 3. You need a trade. That's what my dad says. These words are spoken by Ian. He and his father Billy enjoy a more positive father-son relationship than Alec and Davie do. Ian and Billy are close and talk about things together, contrasting with the slowly disintegrating relationship between Davie and Alec. Billy influences his son significantly, not always for the good, and although Ian might have liked to join the army and travel, Billy persuades him to stick with working as a tradesman. The positive aspect of Billy's insistence on the importance of working is that he advises Ian to be adaptable and to change trade or move if there's no work. Hence, their eventual move from Glasgow to Aberdeen. 4. You bevvyin, followed by you bettin too heavy. To an extent, Billy is supportive of his brother Davie. He lends Davie money to help him survive when he loses his job. However, he is aware of his brother's character flaws of drinking and gambling. The word bevvying suggests he knows that Davie drinks excessively, and betting suggests he knows that his brother wastes precious money on gambling, and he's frustrated by this. He doesn't understand either why Davie can't pick himself up after the death of Alec's mum. Davie is typical of many of the working class men at that time, who sought escape from reality by getting drunk and giving themselves hope of a better life by betting money they could not afford to lose. But then, of course, they don't win, and they're even worse off financially, as the bookmaker almost always wins. 5. Don't talk about school. I hate it. The theme of social class crops up again in these words spoken by Ian. The word hate is strong, and it shows Ian cannot wait to leave school and work with his dad, as Billy has encouraged him constantly to learn a trade. Both Billy and Ian are happy to remain in the working class. However, Alec has been encouraged by his father, Davie, to stick in at school, to get the best education he can, and to try to escape his working class background. Education is clearly depicted in the play as being a key to social mobility. 6. Terrible colour. They Catholics have made it bad. This quote is useful when exploring the theme of religion in the play. Billy is a bigot. He's prejudiced against Catholics, and he's raising Ian to be prejudiced against Catholics too. This is one of the negative aspects of his parenting. As a Rangers supporter, he favours the colour blue and detests the colour green, and he makes numerous negative comments about Catholics elsewhere in the play, for example, typical Fenians. Moving on to Act 2, number 7. The questions were a skoosh. Alec has a thirst for knowledge, and it's clear from comments about Davie having read Dickens that he was similar in his youth. By attending the mission, Alec is able to indulge his love of learning, and he comes first equal in the Bible quiz. His use of the word skoosh here emphasises how easy he finds it to learn information by rote, and this prepares the audience for him winning a scholarship to private school, which accelerates the distancing of Alec from his cousin Ian, to whom he was close at the outset of the play, and also distances him from his father, who disappoints Alec more and more as the play progresses. 8. Get yourself a good education. Get a decent job. Davie may have many faults, but the one sensible, positive thing he does as a parent is to encourage his son to become educated, so he can eventually escape his working class roots and have a better quality of life than Davie himself has experienced. Here again, we see the theme of social class and social mobility. The irony is that Davie doesn't follow his own advice. Instead of trying to improve his own situation, he spirals downwards into depression throughout the play. If he did ever have any ambition, such as when he and Billy thought about starting a poultry farm, it has been squashed out of him by grief and depression. 9. You never come out with us these days. Here Ian is speaking to his cousin Alec, frustrated that Alec is maturing and has new interests in life. This highlights the themes of change and social mobility being explored in the play. Ian is still playing with his friends out in the street, while his cousin Alec is moving on to take up a bursary at a private school. There he will make new connections and obtain the necessary qualifications to move to university. The dynamic of the once close relationship between the two cousins, as depicted earlier in the play, has been changed irrevocably by Alec's decision first to attend the mission and then to take the bursary. 10. Electricity got cut off. Couldn't pay the bill. Davie has to confess to Alec that he has once again run out of money. He borrowed Alec's bursary money, allegedly to pay the household bills, but instead it appears he's used the money to buy alcohol and place bets on horses. Unsurprisingly, this leads to tension and conflict between father and son, and Alec's frustration about his father's inability to shake himself out of his grief and depression, to find more work and to take control of his life becomes clear when Alec and Davie subsequently argue. 11. Stage directions. Davie slaps him, exits. This stage direction is a clear indication of the continued breakdown of the father-son relationship between Davie and Alec. Alec mentions that he's noticed Davie has been speaking to a woman, but Davie is uncomfortable about his son's comments. This shows that while Alec has matured a lot during the course of the play, he is insensitive to his father's loneliness and his need for adult company. Davie's reaction is to slap his son, possibly prompted by a mixture of embarrassment, frustration, and anger. 12. Can he burn a hymnbook? The theme of religion runs throughout Sailmaker. Alan Spence examines it in various ways. We see it through the sectarian comments made by Billy about Catholics and Celtic Football Club, and also through Alec's attempts to make sense of his mother's death, and the fact that he goes to the mission for a while, but then runs away when he's asked specifically about his faith. Near the end of the play, where the flat is so cold that Alec and Davie start burning furniture and other items from the glory hole, Alec suggests burning a hymn book and makes a quip about Buddhism. But Davie is resistant to burning the hymn book, which suggests that he perhaps does have a degree of faith. 13. I might get a wee place of my own. This is an important quote near the end of the play, as Alec is signalling his intention to move out of his father's flat when he heads off to Glasgow University. Davie queries the cost, but quickly backs down, and it's clear to the audience here that father and son are becoming even more distant from each other, making this quite a poignant moment. Alec's education has allowed him to move onwards and upwards, leaving Davie alone. Their relationship is breaking up. 14. This is a cross-conversation between Davie and Alec. Davie says, I always meant to, just... And Alec completes the sentence, just never did. To which Davie responds, story of my life. One of the reasons that the father-son relationship is so difficult in the play is that it's hard for Alec to respect Davie. Davie can't motivate himself to actually do anything, grieve, get a job, take his drinking and gambling in hand, or even show that he's happy for his son. When Alec gets the bursary, Davie says the teacher will be happy, but not that he himself is proud of Alec. Davie's continuous lethargy makes him a poor role model for his son. And the fact that he can't even muster enough motivation to make a mast and sails for his son's yacht sums up his life perfectly. Alec's comment, "just never did," underlines his disappointment with his father. Meanwhile, Billy may not be a perfect father either, for example his comments re Catholics, but he does adapt to whatever life throws at him and he keeps working. 15. Like a Viking longboat out to sea in a blaze with the body of a dead chief. Alec uses vivid imagery, a simile, to describe his toy yacht burning in the fire. He's removed the yacht from the glory hole, still sailless, and the fact that he throws it on the fire to help keep the flat warm is highly symbolic. Just as Vikings used to send the bodies of their dead out to sea in a burning boat, so the relationship between Alec and his father seems to be fading completely as Alec prepares to move on to hopefully a better life. In the other Sailmaker videos, we look at an overview of the play and at some sample 8-mark questions. See you next time. If you found this or any of our other videos useful, it would be great if you could subscribe to the YouTube channel. Thanks for your support.